Okay. Last bit, the conclusion and recommendations. So, a very important bit with not many words. So there are both conclusions and recommendations. So basically you have concluded yes or no, they should bring in the machine. Now most people conclude yes, but it doesn't really matter. You can conclude no, say it's not worth the investment. But then what you need to do is recommend, if they are to do it, what they should do specifically to make it an easy transition in bringing in, for example, the new machine. So you base these recommendations on the research that you've done. So one of the recommendations might actually be to do more research, or maybe to trial it for 6 months and see how successful it is, or to maybe, for example, in this case, the machine is quite expensive. Maybe they should lease the machine rather than purchase it outright. You got to make sure you refer to the actual question again, the research question in the conclusion. Make sure the conclusion is based on previous analysis, so in the analysis section, and the findings, and there are no inconsistencies with the previous discussion. That is new ideas not previously discussed. So yeah, as always, don't bring in any new information to the conclusion. Anything that you say in the conclusion should be based on the findings of the research and the analysis. The recommendations are realistic for what the business should do going forward, and any unanswered questions should be acknowledged. So any sort of limitations you can bring in the next little bit of the conclusion. So let's have a look at that example again. There we go. Okay. So the conclusion, all based on the analysis. Given that recent customer perception has shifted towards poorer quality of product, it appears that the new machine is the better of the two choices. This is reinforced by other research about breakdowns and customer perceptions. It's also estimated to have lower costs. This is beneficial to make them have a competitive advantage, especially with competitors such as Greenline. Although there may be problems in terms of motivation, these are minimal compared to the benefits. Consequently, as supported by SWOT analysis, that should really be in the main body. Training may even increase motivation due to boosted self-esteem. Okay, etc., etc. Now, to conclude with Lewin's force field analysis, there are greater forces for change, and so the purchase of the machine seems most appropriate. Now, this is what I want everyone to do, a Lewin's force field analysis. So what it does is it puts your question in the middle, and then it looks at what were the driving forces to say that the business should do this that you found in your research, and what are the restraining forces that you found in your research that say the business shouldn't do what you are proposing. And then you give a value to each of those forces. So for example, in the research, student X found that the cost of training was a disadvantage to bringing in the new machine. They would have to train the staff how to use it. And on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being an extremely important force influencing whether the business should do this, 1 being not really that much of a problem, they have given it a value of 3. So they have sort of said it is a medium force against. Whereas if you compare this force, lower costs of labour, maybe that would say, I can't actually fully read it. Maybe stand the box. Technical notes. There we go. Lower the cost of output, sorry. It's a strength of 4 out of 5. So that's a very strong argument of 4. So they should do it. Okay, they should do it. So this is for the question. So basically you add up all of the main forces for and against, and how important do you think those forces are based on a value weighting of 1 to 5. And as we can see, the driving forces for had a total of 17, where the driving forces against had a total of 11. So that has helped them come to a definitive conclusion to say, well, there's more arguments for than there is against. Well, there is more value in the arguments for than there is against. So therefore, I think they should introduce the new machine. So Lewin's force field is a higher level theory, so that's why I like to bring it in. And I would actually put it at the very start of the conclusion. So before all this written information here, I would put Lewin's force field before it, and then talk about which one you're going to choose based on Lewin's force field above. Now after that conclusion, they've also put the limitations and recommendations, which is good. This is what's going to get you the top marks in your conclusion. So however, my analysis is limited. Firstly, the percentage increase in the productivity of the new router was a mere estimate. There is no substantial proof that annual output will increase by 730 units. Well, at least they're honest. Okay, they're saying that there's no evidence for this. It's their opinion. Furthermore, now you don't want to be doing this too much. It's okay the odd one, but you don't want everything to be mere estimates based on no evidence. Otherwise your research is not very good, and therefore your analysis won't get much marks. And also your conclusion won't. So furthermore, quality perceptions of the competitors' customers were not gathered. They said they were going to do this in the plan, but they didn't do it. You could say that was lazy, but we don't want to lay blame. Now, with only one partner of the company interviewed, further perspectives from the other partners should be obtained before arriving at a conclusion. Okay, so good that they're showing the limitations of the research. Now the examiner does expect some limitations. They do expect that you didn't have the time to devote your whole life to this IA. You also had to revise for business quizzes, read over business textbook, read over the theory, read over the PowerPoints, eat, go to sleep, repeat. So they are expecting some of this. And then the recommendations, as such, my recommendations for the company would be lease the machine for 3 months to obtain the specific output levels, but better assess the machine's productivity. Good, this is realistic, and it makes sense because they don't know for sure what the productivity is like. They're just basing this on their research, but they haven't actually used it yet in the company. Release questionnaires to customers of the dining chair after the 3-month period to establish whether the quality is better. Good. And I also recommend if they bring in the machine, perhaps introduce non-financial motivation for the workers that would be demotivated by the change to the new machine. So it does say in their research that some workers will be demotivated by this, so therefore they should maybe introduce something to deal with that possible demotivation. Good, so recommendations are very good there. You only need 2 or 3, maximum 4 recommendations, because remember you've got to think about the word count as well. So now we get into the bibliography again. So books, it would be better if you used more than one book other than Paul Huang. He's not the only guy that knows about business and management. There are other men and or women out there that have written decent books about IB business. So try and use them. Websites, interviews. Okay, the websites. Okay, that's okay. I just like a few more books there, but the style of bibliography is fine. And then the appendix. Let's put this in a separate section, and make sure all of the research is in the appendix. Now, if you've done 30 questionnaires, you don't want to put 30 questionnaires fully completed in the appendix. What you do want to put is a raw copy of a questionnaire that's not completed, and then put the summarized results of the 30 questionnaires into one of the appendix. There's a perception map, here's the calculations, here's a raw questionnaire, here's another raw questionnaire, here's the questionnaires and the results in pie charts. Remember, you don't want to use all the pie charts in the main body, just bring some of them in, the most relevant ones. Here's investment appraisal calculations, a lot of good calculations going on there. Here's the price of the machine. Here's the interview. You do need to write out the full interview, so I would record the interview on your phone, preferably a Samsung Galaxy, and I would write it all out. Here is the profit and loss balance sheet of the company. Now what you do need is a signature at the start of the report, which was given on the actual printout of this IA. You need a signature from someone in a position of responsibility in the company that has given you permission, so it confirms that you have permission to use the accounts, that the accounts are legitimate, they haven't been made up, and also that the interview with management or employees, or the questionnaires carried out with the employees, were carried out on a specific date. So you need the company to sign and stamp that with the company stamp to show that your research is legitimate. Well, we've got 3 valuable minutes left. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, remember there is no word count in the appendix. You don't want to fill it with useless information. Let's go back to the checklist. Value to management. Yeah, this gets you 4 out of 25. If I look at it and think, yeah, the management could actually use this report, would they actually use the research that has been done for this machine, for example? Then you would get 4 out of 4. But to get this, your report needs to be within the word limit. There needs to be an executive summary. Terminology is used throughout. Bibliography is good. References are good. There's no material that's not based on any evidence, or there's very little that's not based on evidence. The word count is provided in the report. The research question has been answered. So if I think or if the examiner thinks that the report could be used by management, then it will get 4 out of 4. So we actually want to be able to present this to the managers of the company so that they can use it to help them decide whether to do a certain investment project. Yeah, and I'm going to put this checklist here with a bit more detail on what you must do for the first draft. Okay? Before you hand it in to me, make sure you're going through all of that checklist. I think that's it. I'm really dragging this out now. Yeah, dragging this out. Okay. Well, this has been nice. Emotional, some might say. Hopefully it's been useful. Hopefully I never have to do this again. You try to talk to yourself for an hour. You'll go nuts. You'll go crazy. Okay, so I'm going to stop and I'm going to ring up my one and only friend to have some two-way communication. As we've talked about in Unit 2.3, the disadvantages of one-way communication. And on that note, don't want to end on a negative, but we have. Goodbye, good luck, God bless.